saying, Miss Price, is that I don't think donuts is a very festive way to welcome a woman who's come over.
I have better things to do than to stand around and have you criticize my choice of pastry. I did volunteer, you know.
I wasn't criticizing. I was just mentioning that since the lady... Croissants.
Magic? More punch?
Don't get your hopes up, Mr. Kaufman. It's only 2% alcohol.
Do me a favor, will you skim off the 2% and pour it in the glass? Well, what do you think of all the excitement that you and Pete have caused? Wouldn't it be interesting to begin an exchange program for teachers? I must have been out of my head when I agreed to it.
You love the idea, and you know it.
I liked the idea. Liked. That was before I had to wade through 30 pounds of government regulations in triplicate yet. Cheers.
Don't worry. It'll be worth it. Mrs. Hughes sounded fantastic from her letters.
Well, everybody, here she is, Mrs. Dora Hughes. Let's start with...
Oh, Liz, I recognize anywhere. My dear, you're exactly like your letters.
Seymour Kaufman, I'm the one in triplicate. Welcome.
Oh, yes, dear Mr. Kaufman.
Gently, gently.
You've been a darling about the whole thing. Oh, I knew I was going to love it.
Let's start with...
Lloyd Hollis, Chairman, English Department.
An unknown quantity. Tell me all about yourself, Mr. Holland.
The English is supposed to be cold and aloof. She just blew their image. She's a very warm and open woman, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. I don't think Hollis and Miss Price are...
You've been a darling.
Some of the teachers are going to take to her.
Oh, quantity. Tell me all about yourself. Interesting. And I want all your opinions about American morality, Miss Price. For instance, do you believe in premarital relations?
What do you mean exactly?
I think you better get over there before she tells her exactly.
Oh, Mrs. Hughes, excuse me. How would you like to have dinner with Liz and I tonight?
Oh, how lovely. But no way too fancy, love. I'm not really dressed.
Oh, no, just a little out-of-the-way place I discovered.
Liz's place. I'm so happy everything worked out. You're finally here.
I never would have managed it if it hadn't been for you two darlings pulling for me at this end. I do appreciate it. Lovely. But no way too fancy.
Master.
Oh, I'm sure I shall. Who knows? I may want to stay on a little longer. Of course, I would have a little trouble getting around your immigration laws if I did.
Well, you could always marry.
Master.
Oh, I'm sure I shall. Oh, what's Seymour getting around your immigration laws?
Seymour?
Mr. Kaufman. Oh, please forgive me. I call everybody by his first name. It was the way we did it at our school back home. Everybody was on a first-name basis with everybody else, students and teachers alike.
I'm not sure they're quite ready for that here at Whitman, Mrs. Hughes.
Dora, please. Well, Pete, what happens at one school can happen at another. A school is a school, whether it's in England or America.
Not necessarily. But that's one of the reasons you're here, isn't it? To show our students there are many ways to do things.
And you've got so much to give. I could feel it even in your letters. You have such enthusiasm for teaching.
Well, there's nothing like it, is there? The burst of excitement you feel when you know you've made contact, awakened something. Oh, please interrupt me. I'm talking about my favorite subject again, love.
Ours, too. You know, Dora, Whitman isn't the most progressive school in the world, but I think you'll find it interesting teaching here.
Interesting. I'm sure I'll find it fascinating.
I'll show you to your room, Mrs. Hughes. Now, you must remember when the bell sounds, that signals the end of the period, of course. Now, don't forget, in your creative writing class, the seating plan is already posted. Now, the attendance sheets are to be initialed, but not signed. The health slips are to be signed, but not initialed. And on these pink duplicate registration blanks, you must make sure it goes through the card.
Oh, aren't students amazing? Give them different accents and they could be the same ones I just left in Chelsea.
Mrs. Hughes, were you listening?
Oh, yes. Sign.
Initial.
Oh, yes. Initial, sign, Guthrie Carver. Oh, well, here we are, room 312. Thank you so much, Lloyd. Good morning, everybody.
Excuse me. The seating chart puts me behind Jason. I was wondering if I could change. If I sit back there, the only thing I'll see is the back of his head.
Oh, by all means, love, sit wherever you want. Oh, and the rest of you, too. Sit wherever you please. Change every day if you want to. It might help us to get new perspectives on things.
You mean it?
Well, of course I do. Now sit wherever you like, love. As long as you'll be happy. Now, is everybody happy? Good. I'm Dora Hughes. And if it's all right with you, let's not start right in with all that calling out of the names business. It's far too impersonal. In time, I'll get to know what your names are and who you are. Yes? You're,
Helen Loomis. Mrs. Hughes, if you don't know our names, how can you take attendance?
attendant. Oh, dear, yes, that was that blue sheet here, wasn't it? Now, where is that? All right, then. Is everybody here who is supposed to be here?
I think so.
Good. Attendance done. Oh, yes, you're,
Rhoda Zagor. I left my notebook in my locker. Could I go and get it? You know, for when you give out assignments.
Oh, I'm not going to be giving out any assignments in this class, Rhoda. No, I'd much rather have us just talk to each other about writing, about ideas, about words. Then when you feel you want to say something, well, work it out on a piece of paper and show it to me.
But I don't understand. You mean there aren't going to be any rules in this class?
Not at all. There are two rules. First, I don't want any more talk about rules. And second, only show me the writing that you like yourself. Now, I don't care what it is. An essay, a short story, a sequel to War and Peace, some poems.
Poems?
Apparently, love, you don't think poetry has a place in your life.
It don't exactly turn me on, neither.
I see. Poetry was perfectly all right way back in the 18th century someplace for someone who... Excuse me. You're really terribly bored, aren't you?
What?
There's nothing worse than to feel that you're forced to be someplace you don't want to be. Please feel free to leave.
Huh?
I said, feel free to leave. If any of you want to go, please leave. Come back whenever you feel like it.
You mean I can just split?
Split? I like that. Now then, where were we? Oh, yes. I know, we were talking about poets being hopelessly out of date and old-fashioned. But are they? You know, I'll bet you've memorized a lot of marvelous poetry.
Teacher, you have the wrong man.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains.
Within the sound of silence. But that's a song from Simon and Garfunkel.
Right. Simon and Garfunkel, Lennon and McCartney, Jim Webb. Well, they're all craftsmen with as much genius as the poets that we're going to be talking about. Now, take the phrase, the sound of silence. Yes, sir.
I always wondered about that. I was never sure how silence could have a sound.
That's the point of the whole thing. See, even though there's sounds all around us, there's no...
Communication?
Right. Everybody's talking and nobody's listening. So it's actually the same as silence.
Mr. Kaufman, all the first period kids are still in her room. And the second period kids are jammed up in the hallway, 2 and 3 deep. It's impossible.
Hollowed out. Oh, that's perfect. Like the hollow sound in the phrase, all the lonely people, where do they all come from?
Excuse me, Mrs. Hughes. Folks, we seem to be having a little trouble with the bells today. Would you all go to your next class, please?
Now, darlings, think of Eleanor Rigby. Think if you know any Eleanors in your life.
All right, folks, come on in. Take your seats. Let's move along, please. Mrs. Hughes,
Yes.
may I speak to you a moment, please?
Oh, certainly. Yes. Coming.
All right, let's move along, folks. Move along. We're not going to get an education in the halls.
Oh,
Let's
the
go.
lonely people. Where do they all come from? What a haunting phrase that is.
Yes, well, we must get together and discuss the relative merits of song lyrics one of these days, Mrs. Hughes. But right now, I'd like to know about all these students that were piled up in the hall. Did you hear the bell?
Well, I suppose I did. But we were on to something really stimulating. I thought that was much more important.
Oh, it's wonderful. Mrs. Hughes, I know you're accustomed to a different system than we use here, but bells are very important in a school this size. Please try to observe them.
I will, Seymour.
Yes, well, all right.
Mr. Kaufman.
Oh, yes. We also send in attendance sheets.
Yes, attendance sheets.
Small thing.
And moreover, we have a lesson plan which does not include the Beatles, Mrs. Hughes.
Dora, please. I have my own lesson plan. The students decide what they feel like writing.
Your students decide. That's not what we do here.
You should try it then, Lloyd. Did you see? Students can't possibly create anything until they've opened up to the joy of learning. The writing will come. Have you ever really listened to the Beatles, Lloyd?
Not if I could help it. I'm not exactly a rock and roll fan.
Simon and Garfunkel?
Well, Mr. Dixon, I suppose you've heard about the crisis your friend Mrs. Hughes has created for us.
Are you sure she's the one who's creating the crisis?
I suppose I am. No regard for schedules or regulations, no lesson plan, students jamming the hallways, total chaos.
Oh, come on. Don't you think we can handle this situation without falling apart?
You know what she calls me?
No, what?
Lloyd.
It could be worse.
Listen, I've got to get to my analyst appointment. Is there going to be some kind of a vote taken?
Vote? Why should we take a vote?
Oh, I thought there was going to be some kind of a vote taken.
No, there's not going to be a vote.
Mr. Kaufman, we have a very serious problem here. What do you intend doing about it?
Listen, just in case there is some sort of a vote here,
Yes, Mr. Weisgarten. What?
put me down with the majority.
Mr. Kaufman, I will say it again. What do you intend to do about this?
Hold on. Slow down. Aren't you being a little rough on her?
Oh, yeah, of course, you will defend her. You're one of the ones responsible for bringing her here in the first place.
All I'm trying to say is, why don't you spend less time talking about her and just a little more time talking with her?
I would like to, but who can get a word in edgewise?
All right, now, come on, everybody. Now, let's settle down. People are debating. People are talking about voting. Now, let's get one thing straight. A high school is not a democracy. A high school is a benevolent dictatorship. Now, why don't you all listen to your benevolent dictator? Now, give the woman a chance. She's missed a few bells and her methods are a little bit different. But after all, what's she really done?
Mr. Kaufman, do you have any idea what happened to room 312?
Well, just taking a stab in the dark, I'd say it was still right up there next to 313.
No, the class. The entire class is missing.
And so, as my career as a dictator sinks slowly into the West,
My treat.
greetings.
Mr. Kaufman?
I suppose you're not wondering why I called you here.
You're right. We figured it out. Mrs. Hughes?
More teachers complaining?
Well, not more, but the ones that are suddenly seem to have a lot of drag with the Board of Education. In the last few hours, the phrase disruptive influence has gained vibrant new meaning around here.
Do you think she's a disruptive influence?
Look, I like the woman. I love the way the kids respond to her. I love her enthusiasm. All right, she's a little unorthodox, slightly disorganized, but disruptive influence? Yes.
How can you say that? She's getting through to kids nobody's been able to reach before.
Oh, there's no question about her ability to teach. But the fact is that this brilliant teacher happens to be a kooky lady who's antagonized a lot of people. Now, I've defended her right up to the wall, but frankly, I'm running out of ammunition.
What are you going to do?
Well, if you mean, am I going to throw her out in the cold with snowflakes on her eyelashes? No. This time of the year, she probably tanned to death.
You still haven't told us what you're going to do.
Well, you see, if I talk to her, it's going to look like I'm threatening her. But if she were to hear the same thing from friends, perhaps I'm being too subtle. Let me put it another way. I'm asking you two to do my dirty work for me.
Well, I guess we should be the ones to talk to her.
Good. Thanks.
This weekend might not be a bad time. Some of the kids mentioned a picnic. She'll be there. We could talk to her then.
Yeah, she probably would take it better coming from us.
You really believe that?
No.
Hi, Mr. Dixon. Miss McIntyre. You be here next week, too?
Next week.
Hey, do you do this every week?
Oh, yes, we never felt there was enough time to cover everything we want to talk about in class.
I don't believe it. There are kids here who we had to hold at gunpoint to get them in class.
Which makes what I have to say a lot tougher.
I felt there was something troubling you ever since you arrived.
Last thing I ever expected to hear myself talking about was rules, regulations.
Oh, dear, I do seem to have trouble with those, don't I?
But the school has to be run that way.
But why are you two talking to me about this? You're not in trouble because of me, are you?
No.
But then I must be in trouble, mustn't I? But it can't be too serious. In time, they'll adjust to my methods.
But there isn't any time. There's already a lot of pressure.
I see. Either I change or I go. Is that it? I'm not sure I can change.
We're not asking you to change.
You're too good a teacher for us to tell you what to do.
And there's got to be a way for a teacher as good as you to be able to function within this system.
There is. If you can do it, I can try.
Hey, come on, everybody. Soup's on.
I am too. I can eat buttered bread.
Mrs. Hughes, I finished that thing I told you about. I don't know what else to call it. It's half poetry and half, oh, I don't know what, but it's done. I hope you like it.
Do you like it, Ellen?
Oh, I love it, but I'm prejudiced.
Oh, thank you. Take your seats, everyone. Roger, would you come here, please? Take attendance, please, Roger.
Take attendance.
Yes, Roger.
We're going to start taking attendance?
Yes, Roger. Oh, and class, while Roger's doing that, take out your notebooks and take down today's assignment.
You mean an assignment? Like a regular, you tell us what the topic is and we write a composition on it?
That's exactly what I mean, dear. No talking, please. Well, the bell is about to go. You can finish up tomorrow. Oh, and class, starting tomorrow, you'll all be sitting in permanent seats.
Mrs. Hughes, I thought we were supposed to sit in different seats each day in order to see things from different perspectives.
Well, starting tomorrow, you'll be seeing things from one perspective, love. One perspective.
It's hard to conform, they don't know you. If they knew you, would they try? The love in your heart touched a small few. Now you must go.
Tell Mr. Kaufman I would like to speak to him, please.
Hello, everybody.
Mr. Hollis.
Why are you all so glum? Oh, of course. Today's the day she's leaving, isn't it?
You mean you don't have it marked in red on your calendar?
Nice of you to come down, Hollis. You gonna play a little old Lang Syne on your pitch pipe?
Now, why am I getting all this? After all, the woman resigned. She just couldn't cut it here.
If you think she couldn't cut it, look at these. Some of her students' papers. As head of the department, they're your responsibility now.
I'll pass them on to her replacement.
You're not in the least bit curious, are you?
Not specially.
Don't you care about anything beside missed schedules and broken rules? That's the sum total of Mrs. Hughes?
Are you trying to tell me she didn't disrupt the whole school?
Of course she did. But there's more to her than that. I've read those.
I have too. Why don't you take the time?
Why do you two keep harping on that? I have read thousands of papers. What's so special about these?
Mr. Hollis, they happen to be good writing. A little undisciplined, sure. A little rough, sure. But they're original. Open, honest. Okay, so she couldn't make it here at Whitman. But there was a creative spark somewhere in that chaos. And it was great to see it happen in the kid's handwriting. How about it?
Hello, darlings. I just dropped in to say my last goodbye.
Well, Mrs. Hughes, I'm sure I speak for the whole department when I say we're sorry to see you go.
My dear Lord, why on earth do you say things you don't really mean? You're not sorry at all. You're absolutely delighted that things can return to the status quo, now aren't you? Darling, everybody can't be like everybody else. Now, can they? Wouldn't it be a dull old world if they could? Oh, I see you have my students' papers.
Yes. Thought I'd take them home tonight and read them.
Really, Lloyd?
I said I'd read them. I will read them. I am the head of the department.
Isn't that fine? Isn't that just fine? You will write, won't you?
I will, Dora. In triplicate.
Oh, Seymour.
Huh? Never mind.
Goodbye. Come on.
I can hardly believe it. Hollis giving in.
Well, he agreed to read them, that's all.
Well, at least that's the beginning.
Just the bare glimmer of the beginning, my dear. Oh, such a pity I have a plane to catch.
What do you mean?
I was just wondering what would have happened if I'd had a little bit more time with him. Let's see, I could have brought the conversation around to attendance sheets.
Tell me again, Mr. Hollis. I keep forgetting.
Oh, Mr. Hollis, excuse me. I got the compositions you left on my desk. Did you get a chance to read them?
I read them.
What did you think?
A lot of misspellings, Mr. Dixon. A lot of misspellings.
That's it?
As the lady said, not everybody is alike. That's about the size of it.
Well, thanks for looking them over. Sorry I bothered you.
Tell me again what that fellow's name is, Mr. Hollis.
What fellow?
You know, the one you wanted me to listen to. Now, what did you say his name was? Simon Garfunkel?
gentlemen, we've just received a top priority missive from our illustrious Air Pollution Control District. There's going to be smog today. First stage smog alert. No phys ed, no unnecessary exertion for the students. The teachers can exert themselves as much as they like.
Mr. Kaufman, you're always kidding, even during a smog alert.
Good morning. I certainly hope so. Remember, if you catch any students exerting themselves, send them right down to my office. We've got to put a stop to student exertion.
Hey, Jason just came over. First day smog alert. No push-up today.
Tell me all about it, babe. With all my allergies, you gonna tell me we got smog.
There's always one man who makes history. One man who has an idea and moves with it. What's bothering you, Helen?
I think that's how it used to be. But, well, now...
You don't think that's the way it is now?
Mr. Dixon, things are just too complicated now. There's just too much money against anybody who fights against anything.
That's true. That doesn't mean that one man will lose a fight against the system. What about Ralph Nader? One man, right? He's got the auto industry turning flips to get out from under the heat he stirred up.
If he done so much, how come we got all that smog? Look out the window, man. Them cars are still filling us up with that garbage.
Maybe that means it takes more than one man to get the job done.
The system wants that air like it is.
Jason, smog bugs everybody.
Maybe so, but do you think the people in my neighborhood can afford them electronic gimmicks and air conditioners like them fat cats?
Okay, people with money can fight it better. But that's still not the solution.
Then why don't you change it? You got the reason. Like there won't be any more history if everybody dies, man. You said one man can change anything. Do it.
How would you go about fighting smog, Jason? If you were going to take it on.
Oh, I'd just say, please don't make no more smog.
Anybody else got any ideas? Al?
The state assembly's voting on smog the end of this month.
It sounds like a good time to wage a fight against smog. Richie?
People just don't care about smog. They think it's just gonna go away. There was a big magazine just did a whole issue on smog, and it was scary. Turned out the smog could make a cap in the atmosphere and keep in the heat and moisture. The polar ice will melt and flood all the coast. People are already dying of cancer from it, and fishes and animals too. Crops are gonna rot. Terrible stuff, but nobody's doing anything.
Well, maybe nobody's found a way to turn people on about pollution. What do you think about that? Come on, anybody, give me some ideas on it. Helen.
Well, maybe big ads in the newspaper would do something.
TV's all there is. People listen to the tube. Put some hip dude on TV telling them like it is.
Why don't you do it, Jason?
Do what? Get on TV? Sure. You call them up and tell them I'm coming down to be on TV.
They sell time.
I got $4. What kind of time can I buy with $4?
Jason, money's raised for projects like that every day. A campaign to fight smog would get a lot of support.
Come on, man. TV costs heavy bread. $5,000 a minute. I have to jack up a bank to get that kind of loot.
Try a local station. See how much time costs. You owe me a project for 2 months now. Why don't you take this one on?
How come you leaning on me? It was Richie talking all that air pollution jazz in the magazine.
You want Richie with you?
Sure, me and him against the system.
Hi, fellas. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
Mr. Barker, I'm Jason Allen.
Jason Allen.
And this is Richie Lane.
Richie Lane. Come, sit down, won't you? Sit down. Now, what can I do for you?
We're here to buy some time.
1 minute.
1 minute. Well, what time period have you got in mind?
Well, what time do you have open that's cheap?
Our least expensive time is during the late night movie.
How much?
$80 a minute.
We can raise that easy.
Be cool, Rich. $80? Is that the drive-out price? Taxes, license, and everything?
Those are just the time costs. Now, if you want a tape, then,
Now we're getting down to it. Go.
Well, now you're going to be taping with one camera. And you'll want color, I presume?
Yeah.
Now, you have 1 hour for setting up and lights. Then you'll have your taping time and the tape stock. And you'll need at least, 15 minutes, I guess, for retakes.
How much for the whole bag?
The whole bag? Well, the whole bag comes to $680. I hope that helps you fellas with your school assignment.
This ain't no dance. We come to do business.
Oh? Well, you know, I would need 2 weeks' notice, secured by a check for half the costs as a bond, and the contract would have to be signed by an adult.
Well, we can't come up with any $680.
We wasn't jiving with you. We want the time. We'll get the bread. Come on, Rich.
That's how much it costs for a 1-minute commercial?
Yeah, counting in setup, shooting time for tape, crew, raw stock, and airtime.
It's a lot of bread, fellas.
That's what I've been telling him.
It breaks down to $170 a week, Rich. We can make that.
How, brother?
Already it's down to $160 a week.
Where'd we get the 10?
My pay from the department store, and you're kicking 10 from your band job.
If my band has a job.
You'll have the job.
Then we have the bread.
Cool. Now, we got one major hang-up. We need somebody to sign the contract.
An adult.
Which means I'd be liable. Fellas, I don't have $600 in case it blows up.
It won't never happen.
You won't have to sign anything for 2 weeks. By then we had to have half the money. We don't have it, you don't sign.
And that dude at the TV station gonna freak out when we lay that bread on him.
Yeah, the man at the TV station thought we were just kids working on a term paper or something.
You sign the paper?
Okay. If you guys come up with half in 2 weeks, I'll sign.
You got a deal. Come on, Rich, we got business. Man, that was fun. Hey, man, you dig small?
No, man, I don't dig small.
Groovy, then put something in the can. I'm fighting small. Hey, man, you dig small?
And then another kid come up to me and tell me he gave you $2, so I tutored him after school. 7 kids did that.
Yeah, the rest will probably catch up with you later.
What rest?
Well, how's it going, man?
I'm just finding out.
We're in pretty good shape. There's the rundown.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We got $10 from my job, 10 from Richie, 60 from music deal, 32 more from tutoring by Richie. And
Wait a minute. What do you mean, music deals?
you said the cats in your group get $12 a man for a dance gig, right?
Yeah.
I got you a deal for $15. The extra money goes in the fund. And naturally, you want to throw in your whole pay, don't you?
Well, leave me some for bus fare, Jason.
Cool. Oh, that Sunday gig is a Polish wedding. I told him you know polkas, so you best to learn a couple.
Looks like you got everything figured out, haven't you?
He said whether to get to $28 a week, we're still short.
I'm working on that now. We'll make it.
1 ham sand, 2 fries, 4 burgers. 1 with the works, 1 with pickle, mustard, ketchup, tomato, and chili. 1 with cheese only, 1 with lettuce only. 1 BLT on rye toast, bacon crisp.
Aaron, Susan?
Here.
Adams, Stephen A.
Here.
Alan, Jason?
Here. Yes, sir. It was me.
Pete, Jason did cut a class. We have a rule against that. And Richie answering a roll call for him, I realize it was a noble gesture, but that's not exactly kosher either. Jason is not a student who can afford to miss a math class.
Take a look at that budget. Jason did that.
Jason did that?
That's right. And the math on that page is complicated, too.
If I read you right, what you're saying is that you don't want either one of those boys to get any detention for this. Is that right?
That's right. At least not until they finish this project. They've got every 3-minute schedule. And they're going to need every dime they're earning if they're going to raise the money.
You think they'll make it? $680 in a month?
There's a way. Jason will find it.
I wish he hadn't cut that math class.
I admit that's wrong, but he's right. If there was ever a valid reason for Jason to miss a math class, this is it.
If there's a valid reason.
And we both know there's a lot inside Jason. We can't shoot him down the first time he gets moving.
I know, Pete, but if you were another student and you heard that Jason got away with cutting a class, now what would you think? That he was making a personal breakthrough or that he has the faculty snowed?
I see your point.
You still think it's worth a gamble?
I do.
Well, anything else you have to say? Say it now, because when I put this car in reverse, I become a civilian.
You said it yourself. There are times for special treatment of a student.
But I've got 3,000 other students to consider.
I know, but...
Huh? I'm in reverse.
Hey, Mr. Dixon, guess how much we got?
I can't.
$172.
And 93 cents.
You guys have been moving right along, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go to work.
Had a very peculiar dream last night. You were in it. I dreamt that Jason cut a math class, but then he never did it again. And what was peculiar about it was that I didn't know anything about any indiscretion, so I didn't even have to look the other way. And then by the time I did find out about it, somehow, as if by magic, everything was taken care of. There was no action for me to take. It was a very pleasant dream.
There were no detentions in that dream?
No, none.
Beautiful.
Now back to reality. I think I have a solution for Jason's problem about funds for the smog campaign. We make it a school project.
We can't do that.
Sure we can. Look how easy it was to raise the $75 for Mr. Wilson's going away present. Nobody even liked him. We can raise it.
I don't argue that the school can't raise the money, but it shouldn't.
Well, I would guarantee Jason succeeding.
But somebody else would make it happen. It's his shot, and he's got to take it.
Well, suppose he doesn't raise the money.
Then he doesn't raise the money. But at least it'll be his flop.
Oh. We help him, we hurt him.
I think so.
Okay. We won't help him.
You know what I hate worse than smog, Richie? Work. It's terrible.
No time for complaining, Jason. This is a script conference.
What you got?
Nothing yet, just the opening.
That's something. Do it. Go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and friends.
Wait a minute, Richie. I mean, that stinks, man.
You can do better, do it.
You gotta grab them. If you start out like that, everybody's gonna get up and go get a sandwich or something.
Okay, then, you tell me how we grab them.
Don't get hung up 'cause I don't dig your idea, Richie.
Well, man, it's the only idea I got, so what do we do?
Think TV. Think like we gotta sell something.
You mean the unsale? We gotta tell people how terrible smog is.
Right. You're cool, Richie.
Now, what do we want to say? We want to say smog is gonna kill everybody if we don't stop it. And the only way to stop it is to get the legislature to do something.
Right.
So we start. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and friends.
No, Richie. We're gonna hit them, make them hold still, and listen.
How do we do that?
Well, we could say, hello, smog can give you cancer, dig?
No, we say that first and the commercial's over. The cancer should be in the middle.
Well, how about we start? The man says, I'm on the air to tell you about air.
Hey, that's tough. Then we show him a picture of the smog or something.
Now you're grooving. Write it down. This has got to go. Boy, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
When I say all this stuff on
Hey,
TV...
Jason, wrong.
What do you mean, wrong?
You can't be the one on the tube.
Why not? I can say this stuff.
I tell you and you get mad.
You want to see me get mad? Keep jiving. Get to it, Richie. What?
Well, it's you, man. Well, you scare people.
What do you mean I scare people?
You scare me right now.
You think anybody listen to you if you was on the tube?
I wouldn't scare anyone.
You wouldn't crank up nobody either.
Well, if it can't be you, and it can't be me, then what do we do, Jason? You know we're supposed to tape this thing Thursday.
Oh, hi, fellas.
Applehead. We ain't got time to con you into it, Mr. Dixon, so we just gonna ask you. Go, Richie.
Oh, will you be our announcer, Mr. Dixon?
Me? I've never been in front of a television camera before.
Oh, leave that to us. Yes or no?
Well, I did say I'd give you all the help I could. Okay, you want me, you got me. You got a deal.
Give me the script. Here you go. Here's your script. Rehearsal's here tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
We'll have to help you pick the clothes you wear on the show.
You know that coat with the leather buttons?
Yeah.
Leave it home. It's too square for our thing. Okay?
It's got a lot of good ideas. We put a couple of hours work into it, we can really shape it up.
No, we can't.
You don't intend to read it as it is.
Word for word.
Pete, people will see you, honey. This is television. This sounds like the work of two 16-year-olds.
That's what it is.
But that's not what you are.
Look, I was hired as an announcer, not as a writer.
I think you're carrying this let them do it themselves just a little too far.
Look, I admit that it's not Hemingway, but it's what they wanted to say, and they've earned the right to say it the way they like.
I know that, but you can't get up on...
Look, just read to the end. Read that last line.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Let's see the back.
Not bad, hey, Jace?
No, I still like the other one. We'll go with the blue blazer.
Yeah, you're right. I like the other one better too, Jace.
Get to work, Rich.
You're the director, Richie?
Right, Jason's producing.
Okay, Mr. Director. What's next?
Well, how we'll practice.
It's called a run-through, Richie.
Okay, we'll run through it. Can you stand there, please? Right here. Good.
There'll be a desk right there, and behind you'll be a bookcase full of books. Go, Rich.
Wait a minute. First, let's show them what we got.
Oh, yeah. Dig.
You made it.
A day ahead of schedule.
And we got $1.14 too much.
Yeah, we're saving that for stuff to eat while we watch our show.
We won't have no show if we stand here rapping. Let's do it, Richie.
You're on!
I'm on the air to talk to you about air.
What time is it, Miss McIntyre?
It is 2:29 and 30 seconds. Half a minute to go. You nervous?
Oh, a little.
Everything's gonna be just fine.
Thanks, Jason.
15 seconds.
Here's to Richie and Jason, who are about to prove that anything can be accomplished if you want it badly enough. Cheers.
This is it.
I'm on the air to talk to you about air.
Pete, you're so handsome.
Air stinks. You know why air stinks? Because it has garbage in it. And garbage stinks. Not really this kind of garbage. This kind. Garbage from businesses. They could fix it so they didn't put that trash in the air, but they won't, because they don't want to lay out the bread. That's terrible, but that's how it is. This is a good lung. And this is what a lung cancer looks like. You've got to ask somebody who has it how it feels. It don't feel good. Exhaust from cars makes more trash. It makes your eyes burn, but people cool it. They wipe their eyes, then they forget about it till the next funky day. People with asthma and allergies can't forget it. And it gets worse for them all the time. That's how garbage is, dig? It never goes away. It just piles up and gets more terrible all the time. Getting mad does nothing, and getting sick from the air pollution will kill you. But it won't stop the trash going into the air. The cats who work here get elected by you. They're going to vote tomorrow on if they should lay out the money to study smog. Get the straight thing. And then make the cats who can clean up the air clean it up. You have a man in the legislature. Get on the phone. Call him tomorrow morning before the vote. Call your man between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock and lay it on him. Tell him to vote for spending the money. Like really, man, people are dying from smog. No joke, dying. You've got to call him tomorrow or it won't do any good. In the morning before they go to vote. Like this could be the end of the whole world. And if only half the cats alive die, they'll be telling their kids, once upon a time, there was air you couldn't see. Rotten smog.
What you think, Rich?
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah, brother, that's how it is.
Yes, that's right. Well, I agree with you. Well, I thought they did a fine job, too. Thank you. Yes. Well, that's very kind. Yes, thank you very much. Goodbye. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, brother, that's... What you think, Rich?
Roll. Well, maybe if Steve McQueen steps down, you'll be able to... You know something? I can't even joke about it. They really got to me.
I hope they got to a lot of people.
I've been on the phone to my state legislator all morning. I've been trying to get him since 8 o'clock. All the phones to the Capitol are busy. Well, I thought they did a fine job, too. Fantastic! Wouldn't it be great if we could just forget about smog alerts, get back to good old-fashioned fire drills? There's something so wholesome.
To a lot of people.
I've been on the phone to my...
Feel that way. Will you come down and tell Richie and Jason what you told me?
It'd be great if we could just forget old-fashioned fire drills. There's something so wholesome.
Ritchie.
The king was putting a squeeze on the colonists, and he topped everything with intolerable acts.
Very good. Bernie, give me one of the intolerable acts.
Ringo singing without the rest of the Beatles.
Okay, that's your one laugh for the day. Now, come on. One of the intolerable acts.
That land thing.
Oh, come on, Bernie. You can do better than that. Ted.
Well, question about the Stamp Act, Mr. Dixon.
Okay.
Well, the Stamp Act said that nothing could be printed without a stamp from the government, right?
Right.
Well, it was to raise revenue, right?
Well, and to control what was printed in the colonies. The man who issued the stamps could refuse a stamp to anybody at any time.
So it was a form of overt censorship.
Well, yes, it was, but, Okay, read the next 3 sections on the Revolution. That's 9, 10, and 11. Well, are you planning an insurrection of your own?
Got a minute, Mr. Dixon?
Sure.
I was going to ask if you thought it was right or wrong for the colonists to ignore the stamp tax law.
Well, all they could do was accept it or ignore it. They had no legal alternative.
Well, we don't have any legal alternative either.
Cool it, Helen.
You got a problem?
Go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah, baby, he won't turn us in.
You really are planning an insurrection, aren't you?
Well, I made the staff of the Blue and Gold. So did Helen.
Well, Mr. Dragan always approves my stories.
But Mr. Dragan won't approve anything that Ted writes.
Does he have a reason?
Well, he can't print what I write. The school board says that nothing can be printed in the school paper that's propaganda. If you have a point of view, then it's propaganda and the paper can't carry it.
Rule 1275.
Well, we try to get the school board to change it, but no student can speak at school board meetings without the approval of...
I know that rule, too.
What it comes down to is that we don't have freedom of the press. All our school papers could do is just tell us about dances or school teams.
Cooking hits.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But we can't get into anything heavy, anything that matters.
We're going to start our own newspaper, Mr. D.
An underground newspaper?
Well, it's that or shut up.
I feel like a colonist, man. I mean, we should have some of them pilgrim hats, you know?
Well, a lot of kids want to say things and there's no place they can say them. Like petitioning and racial polarization. Well, you can't write about that in the Blue and Gold. Or about classes jammed to the doors or out-of-date textbooks.
Well, it doesn't sound like you came to me for advice. What did you come for?
We're going to make a newspaper without any censorship.
Okay.
We want to interview you for our first edition.
Why me?
Because you teach, you don't tell. Guys who hate school want to learn in your class. We want to find out why and print it. We wonder what makes you tick.
Where and when?
Well, we've got some details to iron out first, but we'll let you know, okay?
Okay. As long as I have your word that you'll quote me accurately and completely.
Oh, we will. We won't guarantee that we won't criticize what you say, though.
That's fair enough.
Mr. Kaufman! Oh, Pete. Join me for a serene moment in an otherwise cataclysmic day.
What happened?
Nothing, but it will. You're not the bearer of some kind of bad news, are you?
Well, I'm going to be interviewed.
Oh, that's nice. Teacher's magazine?
No, newspaper.
Oh, I hope it's not the London Times. My subscription just ran out. I see, it's not the Blue and Gold. I just saw the layout.
You're getting warmer. This paper hasn't even been published yet.
Oh, no. You're putting me on. We're not going to get one of those at Walt Whitman, are we?
Yes, we are.
One of those.
All the kids resent the restrictions of the school board rule.
Don't tell me about good old 1275 and the school board. Did you know something? Maybe you better think about it. Could be hot water for you. I mean, granting an interview to an underground newspaper. You weren't talking to me officially, were you? I mean, you're not going to tell me who's involved.
No.
That's good. Because if it was official, I'd have to say something significant. Go home and brood about what to do. This way, I can just enjoy the rest of the day and confront when the first copy comes out.
And then when you find a student that can write, you just fly. You get the feeling Alice likes teaching English?
I do get that feeling.
You know what I heard today? Some of the kids are starting an underground newspaper at school. Isn't that awful and terrific?
Awful and terrific.
Well, I mean, it's against the rules.
Which part is that? Awful or terrific?
Oh, awful. The terrific part is the kids really feel something, and they're going to do something about it. You know, I have a kind of vested interest in it, more or less. Do you know Ted Winkler?
I have him. He's a bright kid.
Well, I think he has a chance of becoming a literary genius.
Is that all?
Really? No, I'm serious. When he writes about a rainstorm, you get wet. Look, really, he resigned from the staff of the Blue and Gold because, well, Mr. Dragon couldn't print what he wrote because of some rule.
1275.
That's the one. You know, I'm glad they're starting their own paper because he'll have a place to write what he really cares about and feels.
An underground newspaper. I wonder how Mr. Kaufman's going to feel about that.
Oh, he'll understand. But then again, maybe he won't. This is delicious, Liz. I love dessert. That's really good.
Well, how do you feel about a problem-oriented course, Mr. Dixon?
Well, can you be a little more specific?
Sure. A course where real problems are covered, like demonstrations, drugs, sex, you know, all the things that schools are afraid to get into.
Well, I'd like to see those problems covered in an open discussion course.
How do you feel about kids having a voice in picking what the class talks about?
Well, that's the only way the class would mean anything.
What about the kids having a say in the curriculum? I mean, the school's supposed to be for us, you know.
They can do that now.
Oh, that's a joke. Can you see me going to Mr. Kaufman and telling him to stick in a course I want?
You know, the school board has a rule that a new class can be added if 20 or more students request it.
Oh, if there's a qualified teacher and if the subject's on the school board's list.
That's where they get you.
It's a long list. And I don't think that 20 students can come up with a class that isn't on it.
Well, then how come the kids don't use that rule to get classes they want to take?
Same reason they don't get interested in student elections.
Oh, I see. It's our fault, right? I mean, it's our fault the system's the way it is.
To some extent, yes, it is. Oh, you may be interested in changing things. This paper is proof of that. But the large majority of kids just don't care. And that's why making progress is so tough for the few who do care.
That's true, man.
If you could pick a single social problem that affects students and teachers and society in general and turn all our national energies on it for attention and solution, what would it be, Mr. Dixon?
Oh, let's see. Ignorance, indifference, lack of compassion.
I only asked for one problem.
It's all one problem, Ted.
Morning again, all. Hi.
Oh, good morning. What'd you do, get a raise?
Nope. But I did manage to acquire count 'em, one copy of the first edition of Whitman's own underground newspaper, hot off the press, and here it is.
Is it good?
I don't know. I haven't looked yet.
Well, let's see.
They called it Truth and Freedom.
That's a fair beginning.
You're on the front page, Pete. Quote, Pete Dixon tells it like it is, and it ain't good. You got 2 columns and there are only 3. It says here you were interviewed by the staff of the paper.
That's right.
You didn't tell me about that.
Am I the only one in there?
Oh, there's a column called Our Teachers Evaluated. Oh, wait till you hear this. Oh, quote, Mr. Gilbert Casey, boys' vice principal. Mr. Casey's open mind is evidenced by his rapid-fire decisions that all explanations are lies and his absolute conviction that the students are the enemy and that without his iron hand, Whitman High would collapse and anarchy would run rampant in the street. Evaluation, A in prejudgment, A in oppression, A in overreaction, F in humanities, no times tardy and no times absent.
Boy, they really gave it to him, didn't they?
Zonk, Mr. Casey.
I bet Mr. Casey's ready to swallow his rubber hose.
That's not all. There's more. Mr. Dragon's next.
What does it say?
Mr. Kenneth Harmer Nelson Dragon has long been romantically attracted to one of the Bronte sisters, but it is not yet certain which one. He has been known to miss lunch because he couldn't decide between tea or milk, and that decisive approach to life spills over into the classroom where, more or less, though never that much more, he bedazzles his students with vacillation, equivocation, and hesitant but absolute lack of commitment. Evaluation, A in beating around the bush, A in fence sitting, A in being on all sides of an issue at the same time, not enough times tardy, not enough times absent. I know I shouldn't, but I love it.
I have a feeling Mr. Dragon's going to be very upset about that next week.
More or less, but not necessarily.
Look, there must be more.
No, the next one isn't very good at all.
Who is it?
It's in very bad taste, and I think that whoever wrote it...
It's about me, isn't it, Liz? Is it about me, Liz? Well, read it. I mean, what could they say about me I don't already know? Is it funny?
It's terrible, and it's petty, and it doesn't deserve reading.
Please, Liz. Miss Alice Johnson thinks she's a student and also thinks she's a teacher. Single-handed, she has activated the word scatterbrain. She is the perfect example of those people who go into teaching because they can't stand the thought of leaving school. We are surprised she's working at a high school. Her attitude and self-image seem more suited to nursery school. This paper intends to request the school put in a seesaw and a sandbox for our bubbly little Miss Johnson. They didn't give me any evaluation. It is well written, don't you think?
Holding teachers up to ridicule? I don't mind myself. I've got the hide of a rhinoceros, but... Well, and look who's on the front page. Pete Dixon. He gave them an interview.
He's a very good teacher, Mr. Dixon is, if what one hears is true.
Well, sure he is. But I'll guarantee you he won't give us the names of those future Pulitzer Prize losers that wrote that junk and didn't have the guts to sign their name. But I'll find them, and out they go.
I wonder why they chose to remain anonymous, Gil. Yes.
Morning.
Morning.
Pete?
I assume you've seen this?
How can you condone that garbage, Pete?
Here we go again.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Pete, just for the record, you did not know what was going to be in the rest of this paper when you gave out that interview, correct?
They didn't even have a name for the paper.
Did they quote you accurately?
100%.
Well, that's something.
Who were the phonies that put that slop together, Pete?
Can't tell you, Gil.
After what they did to Dragan and to Alice Johnson?
Well, what about yourself, Mr. Casey?
Well, you can forget about me. I'm the local tyrant. Well?
Don't intend to tell you.
Well, actually, while I believe that loyalty is more or less a good thing, there might be circumstances which override one's initial responsibility in some cases, though I'm not at all sure that applies here.
You know I'm going to find out who wrote that poison pen hogwash sooner or later, Pete.
Not for me, you're not.
You know what you're coddling here? Revolutionaries is what you're coddling.
Oh, well, now, I can see where he might be protecting, but coddling doesn't even really apply, except in the most abstract sense.
It's not abstract, it's coddling.
Coddled or sunny side up, it's still the same egg. The point is the students wanted a free press and they've abused it. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Ted. Hi.
Can we talk a little?
Oh, well, I'd like to, but I don't have the time right now, Mr. Dixon. Is that all?
I want to talk to you about the paper.
Oh, there's nothing to talk about. I mean, if you like it, read it, and if you don't like it, don't read it.
It goes deeper than that, Ted.
You've got that look of censorship in your eye, Mr. D.
Wrong look, Ted. Why don't you and the kids who are working on the paper meet me after school in room 222?
No. I mean, I won't do that. Well, you've got a lot of muscle, Mr. Dixon. You can turn us in, and Field Marshal Casey will toss us all out of school. But no amount of muscle is going to pressure us into allowing any censorship of our paper. Well, not even yours, and we dig you. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon, no meeting. I'll see you later, Mr. Dixon.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Liz.
You know, I saw the cutest pantsuit down at Rubens, and they're having a sale. I thought we could go down there after school and look around.
I know you're trying to cheer me up, Liz, and I'm grateful, but a pantsuit won't help, no matter how cute it is.
Are you going to walk around like a wilted daisy forever because some kid decided to take a shot at you? I mean, for all we know, I may be the next one on the list.
Oh, no, they don't do you. They do the Caseys and the Dragons and the Alice Johnsons. The terrible part is I know they're half right. I don't know which half. See you later.
You'll find that point considered throughout the Constitution. Anyone accused has the right to face his accuser. Think about it. Bernie, suppose someone would say something about you and then walk away.
They could say anything they wanted to about you, whether it was true or not.
Do you think that matters?
Well, I can think of things I wouldn't want anybody to say about me.
Suppose somebody would walk up to you, to your face, say the same things.
I'd punch them.
In other words, if somebody has something to say about you and they walk up to you and say it to your face, they have to pay a price for that privilege, right?
Right.
Hold it. I want to talk to Pam, Helen, Richie, Al, and Bernie.
I told you we wouldn't sit still for any meeting.
What's wrong with a meeting, Ted? Shut up, Bernie. Well, who died and made you king?
The rest of you can leave. Those of you who I asked to stay can either stay or leave.
What's bothering you, Ted? The man's got something to say.
That man can't do anything wrong as far as you're concerned, Richie.
God, he never put me down like you just tried to do, Ted.
Okay, hold it. I just want to talk to you.
Bring a little pressure to bear is what you mean, isn't it?
I don't want to put pressure on you. But I thought you would listen to what I had to say.
It's about that teacher evaluation column, isn't it?
Yes. I don't want to know who wrote it, but I do want to talk about it.
Well, isn't that what you were doing in class a minute ago? I mean, those references to hiding behind anonymity, to hit out with impunity?
You're really strung out, man. Why don't you listen? It doesn't cost anything.
What you want to say about the teacher evaluation column was that it was rough, right? Well, that's how it is. Some people got zapped. No argument. But that's what happens when you tell the truth without a lot of phony pats on the head. Casey does think the students are the enemy, Dragan does sit on the fence, and Miss Johnson does come on like she was one of the kids.
That's not what I want to criticize about the column. It's your paper. If you want the column in, then it should stay in. I don't like it. But that doesn't matter because you're not writing the paper for me.
Then what?
It was cheap ridicule. Easy. You can find a flaw in everybody. Everybody knows that Mr. Casey is hard-nosed.
Oh, Mr. Casey could always do his own thing, and nobody could ever tell him that they thought his attitude stinks. Well, we told him.
And what about Mr. Dragan? Are you out to expose his love for the Bronte sisters?
Oh, you tell me what the column said about Mr. Dragan isn't true.
He does beat around the bush. But he works as hard as any teacher in the school to prepare for his classes.
Oh, we don't have to give his history to make a comment on him.
And now Alice Johnson. You really told it like it is about Miss Johnson. She bubbles. That's heavy truth, man. Well, she's also a teacher who does everything she can to help kids make better lives for themselves.
What's your point, Mr. Dixon?
Oh, get off it, man.
Hey, what do you want from me, Bernie? Johnson comes on too strong.
Well, what do you think you're doing, baby? You call your number being cool?
Okay, you've got us at each other's throats. Is that all?
That's not what I want. I don't want to see what was a platform for dissent go down the drain because somebody took a cheap ego trip. I thought the reason that you kids wanted your own paper was because our school paper was one-sided and stilted.
Well, it is.
So was that column.
That was an ego trip, man.
Oh, can you do any better?
He couldn't do any worse.
Oh, you're a real comedian, Bernie.
I'll tell you the truth. Now, what our paper's gonna do is chop down people, man. That's a real drag. I'm not gonna risk getting thrown out of school.
Like, tell me, what is the point of this column anyhow? I mean, who got evaluated? Nobody. They got chopped. I mean, who couldn't you chop if that's all you want to do?
I think I resign.
You can't. I heard Pam say that she was going to quit the paper. Don't, Pam. Don't any of you quit. I know you wrote the column that I was mentioned in, Tip. I never could mistake your style, even when you don't split an infinitive. I didn't like the content much. But then I wouldn't, would I? Anyhow, it didn't kill me or anything. What I really think is that the teacher evaluation column should be reevaluated. It hurts people. But even if it stays the way it is, and other people get hurt, don't quit your paper. Look, you have something to say, and you should try to say it. Say important things.
Well, even if we give the pluses and the minuses, some of the teachers are going to come up short.
Nobody asked you to make heroes out of teachers. Just be fair. I realize that truth sometimes isn't pleasant, but it's fair.
Maybe it's a column the whole staff should write together.
Maybe.
Do we still have a paper?
Yeah, we do. Right on, brother.
Okay, staff meeting in Pam's garage in half an hour. And I still think this meeting was an infringement on our rights as a free press.
Well, what? Is something supposed to be happening?
The Truth and Freedom is out. Did you get a copy?
Uh-huh. How'd your classes go this morning?
Just fine. Where's the paper, Liz?
In my purse.
Let's see.
It's a lot neater than the first issue. No strikeovers in the typing.
Did they do a teacher evaluation column?
I think so.
Was it fair?
Well, it was divided into two parts, pluses and minuses. Some of it was fair and some of it wasn't so fair.
Anybody we know make it this week?
Mr. Kurtz and Mr. Cooper.
Only two?
I was the third.
Can we see the paper, Liz?
Did they say anything terrible about you?
Mm-mm. They had some comments to make on the minus side, but nothing terrible. They did say that my door was never closed to a student.
Why don't you show us the paper, Liz?
Do you think I'm overweight?
That what they said about you?
Yeah, and you agree with them, don't you?
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, you'd say that if I weighed a ton.
Morning, Pete. Morning, Alice. Morning, Chubby.
This will be the last time, I promise.
Been saying that for 2 years. I gotta say no, for your own good.
Is death for my own good? Rich, save my life. Friend, brother, let me copy your geometry homework.
Wonderful. Wonderful, huh? The kids. Such vitality they have, the youngsters these days. Such oomph. I was reading yesterday in the library. This doctor, a Nobel Prize winner for his work in arteries.
Taking the bus, lady?
What? No, last week I took. Excuse me.
Morning, Pam.
Oh, morning, Mr. Dixon. You want something?
Your name is Pam.
Mm-hmm, Pam Simpson.
He's a teacher.
Mr. Dixon? Yeah.
He's so handsome.
Well, I gotta go.
I was wondering, all these grown-ups, they're all teachers.
No, they're spies.
Spies?
Yes. Under the guise of parents. See, this is Parents' Day, and they all come snooping around, making sure they get their tax money's worth.
No, they're worried you should be getting a good education. Your mama's visiting? Such a nice girl. She must be very proud.
No, she's working.
Like my mama. Her whole life, she rolled in a cold basement, cigars.
Well, see ya.
I want to know how you feel about unlimited immigration. Remember, the time is 1904, and more than 1 million refugees per year are pouring in.
Can I help you?
I'm just looking.
Well, nobody's forcing you to buy. I like to browse myself.
The girl I'm looking for, I think she's in here.
What's her name?
Pam.
Pam what?
Pam Simpson.
Oh. Yes, she's in there.
I'm not so sure I dig it.
Me neither. Like, what if my family had been here for 100 years and worked to make the country?
Yeah, why should a whole bunch of foreigners just barge in and get the benefit?
Hello.
Come right in. I'm Mr. Dixon.
Oh, I'm Rose Lipton. How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
What great pleasure, I'm sure.
Would you like to join the other parents?
Thank you very much.
Okay, now. Bernie and Al were expressing an attitude that at the time of the Great Immigration was called America for the Americans. Anybody disagree? Richie.
Life was tough where those people came from. We had room, why shouldn't we let them in?
But a lot of those people were really bad news, right, Mr. Dixon? Some were sick, some were criminals. They were really a mess.
Is that true?
Some countries did take advantage of America by sending people they didn't want. And there were big profits to be made.
Didn't the transport company fly to thousands of people?
That's right, they told anything to sell a ticket. The streets were paved with gold.
The only gold was in the ship owner's teeth.
And a little in their pockets.
Wasn't this the land of opportunity?
Well, it was opportunity, all right. But it was far more difficult to... Yes, Mrs. Lipton.
I just wanted to say how wonderful it is in the school to hear a discussion from two sides of every question. Such a good teacher you are, Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, Mrs. Lipton. Now, remember, as history... Yes, Mrs. Lipton?
You wouldn't mind if maybe I would relate a personal experience. You see, I was one of those immigrants that you were talking about.
Well, certainly. I think we'd all find that interesting. And all you other parents, feel free to join in.
This ought to be good.
Georgie Dressel, I'm not.
Carol Burnett?
You listen to Mr. Dixon and don't be a schlemiel.
What's a schlemiel?
What's a schlemiel?
A schlemiel is a guy that falls on his back and breaks his nose.
Such an educated class.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mrs. Lipton.
When I was a little girl, I lived in Poland. Poor. We were lucky if maybe we had for supper a piece of black bread and a raw onion. Of course, there's no disgrace in being poor, but that's the only good thing you can say about it. One day, when I was 15 years old, my papa came home and he told us we were going to sail to a faraway land called America. We were so happy because we'd heard that in America nobody starved and nobody was beaten because they were poor. And my boyfriend, David, he was sailing on another ship with his family. We made plans to meet in New York City. On the boat. You never saw so many different people. Austrians, Hungarians, Bohemians, Serbians, Italians, Poles, all huddled together like animals. Well, there was nothing to do but to try to talk to one another. Such a cackle, huh? All these people speaking different languages. But by the time we reached Ellis Island, we were hugging, we were kissing each other with tears in our eyes. I mean, what difference did it make if we didn't understand the words? We understood better than the words. We were speaking with our hearts.
Your boyfriend, David, what happened to him?
Did you meet him like you wanted?
David, his boat landed in Boston and I never saw him again. But there were new friends. There was a whole new life, like a flower was opening up. And no more onions and black bread. Instead, every night, rye bread and lakshan.
Lakshan?
Lakshan is a noodle that you shouldn't cook too long, not over 3 feet.
Mrs. Lipton, when you got to New York, where'd you live?
Did you go to school right away?
Mrs. Lipton, what was it like in New York?
Did you go to school right away?
I wish some of the other classes could have heard that story.
Really?
Yeah, the kids really enjoyed it. Well, I've got to go. Got another class. Goodbye now.
No, Bernie, give it back.
After 7th period.
Bernie, give it back.
Come on, Gracie.
Oh, what's going on here? He swiped my geometry homework.
Borrow.
Go to class. I'll take care of Billy the kid here. Bernie, you will not make it through geometry on Grace's homework.
Miss, this boy, I know him. Believe me, he's all right.
Don't I know you from somewhere?
It's quite all right. I can handle this.
Now, I just wanted you should know he's a good boy.
I thought I was a schlemiel.
Bernie, let's go. Thank you. Bernie, how many times?
And I just started my lessons on verse. See, there are 2 movements, the quick and the slow. So we have the unapposed and the dactyl. And the class was really getting involved when...
They were interrupted by an elderly woman with a shopping bag. Morning, everybody.
Good morning. How did you know?
Because practically every class in Whitman yesterday was interrupted by an elderly woman with a shopping bag.
You mean Mrs. Lipton? Pal of yours? Well, she told my students about when she was an immigrant. Very interesting.
To a poetry class?
She told the same story to your class?
Oh, and in trigonometry, civics, chemistry, and hygiene. I had teachers in and out of my office complaining all day long.
Well, Parents' Day was yesterday. Today, you got nothing to worry about except students, teachers.
Oh, that's nothing. To him, that's nothing.
Well, at least today you don't have to worry about Mrs. Lipton.
I'll drink to that. No hair. Maybe it's gonna be a good day after all.
Some people were saying, scratch an American and you'll find a foreigner. And what do they mean? Richie?
They meant that if you go back in most American family lines, you'll soon find a foreigner.
What about yours?
Well, you had to go back a pretty long way in my family. Mr. Dixon, who was that Mrs. Lipton yesterday? She sure was groovy.
Yeah, she was nice. I never knew a person her age could be so straight.
Yeah, and she looks like all those other old ladies walking around.
Well, maybe some of them have something on the ball, too.
She sure gave your lesson a shot in the arm.
That's right. And that's a lesson that a lot of people hadn't learned at the time of the Great Immigration.
How about now?
Good point, Jason. Many of us still think that people who are outwardly different are not quite as good as the rest of us. Oh, Mrs. Lipton.
I had such a good time yesterday. I brought something to say thank you. This is a photograph album from when we were talking. Look, that's me 1 week after we got off the boat in New York.
Very nice.
Oh, Mr. Dixon, could we see it?
Visual aids are always useful for stimulating the student's interest.
Hey, may I pass it around?
Be my guest.
Excuse me a minute.
I've come to relieve you of your eldest student.
Why? Is something wrong?
You hadn't noticed that one of your students differs from all the rest?
Well, she does like school.
Right. That should have given you a clue right there. On her way over here, she poked her head into a few other classrooms where she's not quite as warmly received as she is in room 222. Yarnell's geology class. She told the students the sandstone specimens remind her of her Aunt Sadie's rock candy. She has to go.
It's too bad. Kids are gonna hate you.
Me? Oh, boy. In time of crisis, you find out how many friends you really have. None. Oh, if I'm a high school principal, why do I feel like a Cossack? There goes. Excuse me? Excuse me? Mrs. Lipton, may I speak to you for a moment, please?
Mrs. Lipton, this is our principal, Mr. Kaufman.
Mr. Seymour Kaufman. I read it on a history book label. You know, I had an uncle, Seymour. His whole life, he looked for a girl who was so proud she wouldn't let her husband work. He never married.
I'm not surprised. Would you join me in the corridor, please?
Oh, it would be a pleasure.
Oh, Mrs. Lipton. Your book.
They're kicking her out because she's old, right?
Well, she is a little over Whitman's age limit. But don't worry. If she wants to go to school, she can go at night.
But it wasn't the school she wanted.
No? Then what did she want?
She wanted to be with us, with kids.
That's right. She wanted to be with what did she do? With a principal or a teacher comes in and drag her out. It's not fair. All she wanted to do was to help and to be appreciated.
They really gave it to me.
That's sweet.
They would have impeached me if they had thought of it.
It's really nice.
No. I have never seen that class that hot. So what's nice about it?
Well, I think it's nice that those kids got so upset when you booted Mrs. Lipton out of your class.
Liz, I didn't boot her out.
That they were sensitive enough to understand that she's an old lady and probably lonely and were able to sympathize when you kicked her out.
I didn't kick her out.
To think that kids that age can put themselves in the place of someone from another generation.
Liz, I like Miss Lipton as much as anybody else.
Then how come you booted her out of your class?
One of these days.
Uh-oh, here come the vigilantes. And the condemned teacher ate a hearty peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes, Richie?
Well, on behalf of American History Class 246E, we all want to apologize for coming on so strong before.
Oh, that's all right. You were just speaking your minds.
Well, we know you're only doing your job.
And the rules are the rules.
Well, anyway, we all just wanted you to know that we all think you're a groovy teacher, and we hope there are no hard feelings.
And let bygones be bygones.
Thanks a lot. As a matter of fact, Miss McIntyre and I were just saying how much we admired the way you all sympathized with Mrs. Lipton.
Oh, then you'll help us.
Did I say one thing too many?
So what's she gonna do, coach the girls' field hockey team?
We don't have a girls' field hockey team.
So why do we need a coach?
Well, maybe she could help monitor the study hall or help in the kitchen.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be paid.
She just wants to be around kids. Is that so wrong?
Look, we're not talking about right and wrong.
Is it a crime to like kids?
And we're not talking about crime and criminals.
Well, it will be a crime if somebody doesn't help Mrs. Lipton.
Can't we go around the school and ask? Maybe somebody could use a helper, like a club faculty advisor.
Or in the library.
We're meeting her tomorrow morning before school to give her the good news.
Now they're making me feel like a Cossack. Okay, you can ask.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Kaufman.
You're okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mr. Kaufman. You too, Mr. Dixon. We'll find something.
I'm afraid they're going to be disappointed, but I thought they should be given a try.
Yeah, but what about Mrs. Lipton? You can't tell with a woman like that. She just might take this business very seriously.
Telling you the truth, I'm practically an assistant teacher yet.
Rose, you're too much. You know that? What are you assistant teaching? How to cook chicken soup?
Next, she'll tell us she's an assistant go-go dancer.
Such old fogies, you don't know the truth when you hear it.
Mrs. Lipton?
Mr. Dixon, Mrs. Barnett, Mr. Como, may I present my friend, Mr. Dixon?
How do you do?
History teacher, Walt Whitman High School. Is there something that you wish to discuss with me, Mr. Dixon, concerning tomorrow's lesson?
Can we talk over here?
In privacy, of course. The children maybe found a little job for me already.
Well, they're trying, but I don't think they're going to succeed.
Maybe your assistant. You know, when you leave the room, I could schmooze. They're not going to succeed.
There's just no positions available for non-professionals at Whitman.
Such a shame. But the boys and girls, they tried. You know, that's nice. That's very nice.
Yeah. They're going to be terribly disappointed tomorrow morning when they have to tell you they failed. They're going to feel like they didn't come through for you.
Maybe. Just maybe.
Just maybe what?
Just maybe.
Just maybe what?
That's what I said.
We tried everything, Mr. Dixon. We just can't find nothing.
No luck.
That's true. I even had a go at Mr. Llewellyn.
The speech teacher?
Yeah, well, I figured that Mrs. Lipton's speech could be an example on how not to pronounce.
Uh-oh.
Who's gonna tell her?
Well, I guess I have to. She sure is gonna be disappointed.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
You look darling.
Thank you. Mrs. Lipton, about that job.
I must tell you something first. Oh, I'm so ashamed. I feel terrible. I put you to all this trouble of finding me a job. But like Benedict Arnold, I feel. But you see, well, the truth is, I found a job myself. Something very important. So you see, I can't accept what you found for me.
Do you think I'm awful?
No, that's
no,
fine.
Mrs. I mean, if you've got something better than we can find, well, we're happy for you,
Right.
Good. I'm so relieved. It's such an important job. The safety and welfare of hundreds of children. I couldn't turn it down. Well, I start this morning, so I better be going. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Miss
Miss Lipton. Thank you.
That was so nice. You know, I just can't get over how sweet that was. Mrs. Lipton coming in with that story so the kids wouldn't feel bad.
Yeah, I'm surprised they bought it.
Why?
She did stretch it a bit, didn't she?
Well, I don't know.
The story about her job, don't you think it was a bit exaggerated?
Well, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, how could it be true? What possible job could she have that has to do with the welfare and safety of hundreds of kids? Tell me.
That's pretty strange. No, I never have. You felt like a what? Where'd I hear that before? Well, look, Jerry, it's late. It's been a long day, and I'm having a cup of coffee with a couple of my teachers. So I'll be... Yes, Jerry. You're a very nice man. Fine. Goodbye.
Pete, Liz, you all set? Yeah. I just had a talk with Jerry Palmer. You know the principal of Gardner Elementary School?
Oh, at 18th and Hudson.
Yeah, he's very upset. He says he's got a crossing guard over there that not only stops the traffic, but she has long chats with the drivers, schmoosing, she calls it. And then when he spoke to her about it, he got very upset because he said she made him feel like a Cossack. Isn't that strange? Wait a minute. Why should that sound so familiar? Feeling like a Cossack. That's a strange expression to use, isn't it? I don't know why that reminds me of something.
so that's the theme. A generation gap prom. A salute to mom and dad. Now, the guys who got the bread can rent those tuxedos. And the girls will wear those gowns. You know, those... I mean, you ever see Junior Miss on the Late Late Show? The one with the orchid on the wrist? Those kind. And see, my band will work up some of those really old far-out tunes like In the Mood and Chattanooga Choo Choo.
She ready for Junior Miss.
Now, after the meeting...
Now, wait a minute. You elected Richie as your chairman, so let him talk.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon.
You're welcome.
After the meeting, all you committee heads choose up the people who you want to work with. Okay, so now we've got decorations. Anybody for decorations? Bobby Wallstone. 1 L, 2 L's.
Just one.
Entertainment. That's all right. I'll take entertainment. Okay, tickets. Who wants to take on the money? Bobby Wallstone.
1 L.
Thanks, Bernie. Okay, publicity. Bobby Wallstone.
Are you crazy? No.
Now, anything I left out?
Oh, just the same thing we forget every year. Clean up.
Oh, that's right. Anybody want to take on cleanup?
Well, I guess I could. Oh, no, Bobby, that's enough. Who hasn't volunteered for anything? How about you, Bernie?
I have a test to study for tomorrow.
Oh, come on, Bernie.
All right, clean up for Bernie.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody who wants to be on the entertainment committee with me, come up here.
Decorations, tickets, and publicity over here.
Don't you think that Bobby Wallstone has taken on too much?
No, the more she does, the more she's able to do. I just think the kids take an unfair advantage of her good nature.
What would they do without Bobby?
I don't think she wants them to do without her.
Are you kidding? It's supposed to be a formal dance.
Well, what do you think this is?
Well, it doesn't look very formal to me.
You know, just look at this thing you're doing over here. It looks more like a funeral instead of a dance.
I don't care. I think it looks formal enough.
Yeah, next thing I know, you'll be inviting the moms and dads, too.
Miss
What's
Johnson,
Miss
Johnson, don't you think it's the biggest dance of the year and there should be some dignity?
Right. Dignity is important.
Dignity. We're supposed to have fun.
Yes, fun is important, too.
Well, I think you should choose my poster because I've been working on mine for hours. And she just throws something together in 10 minutes. Isn't that right, Miss Johnson?
Well, the time factor is important.
Well, I think it's the result that counts.
Well, after all, the result, you know, it is the result.
Well, which one do you choose?
Yes, which one?
Which one? Well, let's see. Well,
Why not choose them both? Both? I love them both. Look, Mom and Dad, we love you, but we have to be ourselves. Why can't we use them both?
Let's use them both. That's a good idea, Bobby. Both of them, okay?
Oh, that's neat. Oh, I really think that's neat.
Yeah, okay.
Well, no, we have to have them by tomorrow. Can you do that?
Well, sure. It only takes me 10 minutes, remember? 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. Howie, 12 sold, 3 returns, and $18 each.
Oh. Do I hear the rustle and clink of legal tender?
Guess what, Mr. Kaufman? There's only 28 out of the whole class not going, and we're going to cut that in half.
The unfriendly 28. My heart goes out to him. You know, the principal's office gets 10%. Oh, by the way, I called downtown. If you can work it out with the custodian, you can keep the dance going till midnight.
Hey, wow. Come on, gang. Back to work. Enough of this.
Bobby? Bobby Wallstone. Oh, look, you gotta help me out.
What's the matter?
Freddie Ashton has the German measles, and I have no drummer.
Oh, I think you found the one thing she can't do.
No, man, I know this guy over at Jefferson who plays really good, but he has no way of getting his drums over there the night of the dance. So I was wondering maybe if you knew someone with a pickup or even a station wagon.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll borrow my father's wagon, and you and I'll go over and get him.
No. I'll be busy picking up my date and I won't have time.
Okay, I'll do it. Just tell me where to go.
Well, what about you?
Me?
Your date, he'll be picking you up, won't he?
Oh, don't worry. I'll be there. I promised Joyce Davidson I'd help her with refreshments.
You don't have no date?
Richie, later, huh? I mean, you can work out the details for picking up the drums at another time.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Don't you think you're taking on a lot even for you?
I don't mind. I like to keep busy.
You know, you're one of the most well-liked girls in the school. But you don't have to do everything that everyone wants you to do for that to be so. I mean, you can do less, and people will still like you. Because of the person you are.
Person?
Mm-hmm.
But that's impossible. Somebody's got to be taking her.
I tell you, nobody's taking her.
Oh, but that's lousy. I mean, well, you know, she's doing everything. Somebody's got to take her.
Hey, Bernie, you got a date?
Oh, yeah, I'm taking Janie.
Hey, there goes Nancy Coles.
So what?
She just broke up with Dave Kane.
So?
So, David Kane.
Well, let's ask him.
Oh, cool.
Hey, that would be cooler. We could just, like, throw those two together.
I think I've got an idea.
Hey, what is it?
Cool it. Here comes Bobby.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hey.
Bobby, how many tickets you got left?
A few, but that's a few too many.
Well, David Kane is over there. See him eating lunch?
Yeah, so what?
Well, I heard he hasn't bought any tickets yet.
You mean he's one of the unfriendly 28? Time to make it 27.
I'll go with you. Hey, Dave. Look here, babe. You know Bobby Walsall?
Hi.
Hi. I hear you haven't got your ticket for the Generation Gap prom yet.
I'm not going.
But you got to. It's going to be great. Richie's band's playing, and they're going to be spelled by the 5 horsemen of the apocalypse. What do you say?
The same thing I said before.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll leave a ticket right here, and if you don't change your mind, you can give it back to me anytime. Coming, Richie?
Later, huh? Gotta talk to Dave.
I don't have a pickup truck, if that's what you want to know.
No, man, I got a date for you.
What do you mean a date?
No, but this girl's real special. She's one of the most popular girls in school.
Yeah? Who?
And she's really nice, real smart, and has a terrific personality.
Who you got, Richie?
Her?
So what do you want me to do about it?
Convince David that he should take Bobby to the dance. He's still at lunch if you want to talk to him.
Mm-hmm. Richie, I'm a counselor, not a matchmaker.
Yeah, I know.
I just don't think I should stick my nose in where it doesn't belong.
Sure, but...
You understand?
Yeah. Only,
Only what?
It's about your nose.
What about it?
Couldn't you stick your nose in? Just a little bit.
You ganging up on me, Miss McIntyre?
No, I just thought if you knew what it meant to Bobby, you couldn't say no.
It sure would mean a lot to her, man.
Oh, come on, man. Besides, I don't have the money for the tux.
Not everybody's wearing them.
If you want a tux, cool, I'll dig up the bread.
Then all you have to do is buy the tickets.
I don't know.
Come on, man, what do you say?
You know, a lot of kids would love to be owed a favor by a counselor.
Miss McIntyre, do you think you could rearrange my schedule so I only have to come to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays?
No, that I'd have to think about.
Then you'll take Bobby to the dance?
That I'll have to think about.
Now, it is true that Huey Long was born and raised in a log cabin, but his family wasn't poor. In fact, his father managed to send Huey and 5 other children to college. Now, yesterday, we spoke about the Louisiana of Huey Long's childhood and how corrupt the politics were at the time from the Louisiana Purchase up through the Reconstruction period. As a matter of fact, you could count on the fingers of one hand those major public servants that were honest. The others?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Not bad at all.
I decided to go to the dance.
Far out. You need an extra ticket?
No. I wondered if you'd like to go with me.
You want me?
Well, if you're free.
Well, wow. I'll have to think about it. I'm on the dance committee, you know, and I'm going to be kind of busy.
Right. You think about it.
Hey, thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll see you.
I'll see you.
Bobby, come right in.
Miss McIntyre, do you have a minute?
Sure. What is it?
David Kane asked me to go to the school dance with him.
Oh, really? I think that's wonderful.
Well, yes, but, I mean, do you think I should go? I've got a million things to do.
Well, do you think you should go?
Well, I never even knew he liked me.
So now you know. Well, what's the real problem?
What if I mess it up?
Mess what up? What's there to mess up? David's a nice boy, you're a nice girl, so go and have a good time.
Well, I know I'm not very pretty. And I always try too hard. And I can't even dance very well.
Bobby, it's not what you do or what you look like that makes people respond to you. It's what you are. And what you happen to be is something very special and very lovely. I don't think David Kane could have made a better choice.
He just broke up with Nancy Cole. She's beautiful. Look at her. Look at me. Look at my hair. I thought, because you always look so together and you always look so pretty, I thought maybe you could help.
Oh, sure I will.
Thank you, Miss McIntyre.
Bobby, now remember, this is just one date. If something more comes of it, that's fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. As I recall, David Kane is no great shakes as a dancer either.
David! David! Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm sorry I took so long getting back to you, but if your offer's still open, I'd like to take you up on it.
Well, look, I wouldn't want you to do anything you didn't want to do.
Oh, no. No, I want to go.
Well, great. Just great.
What time do you want me to be ready?
Oh, 8 o'clock?
I'll see you then. 8 o'clock.
Right. 8 o'clock. Wait, where do you live?
David, everybody in school says that you're going to be editor of the school newspaper. Well, I've read all your articles, and I think they're the most intelligent, mature, advanced.
Alice sent this over. You like it?
I love it, but don't you think it's cut a little low? For me, I mean.
What do you mean for you? You hold it. Now, with your hair like that, little green eyeshadow, some lashes, some pale peach lipstick, you can see it.
That's wild. You look nice.
You don't look so bad yourself.
That's swell. Now, if I could only breathe.
Details, details.
My father's modest but clean. The story of my life. Open it.
It's really pretty.
My mother works in a flower shop. I got news for you. The car won't start.
What are we going to do?
magazine, but it shrunk in the car wash.
Yeah, you know those harsh detergents.
Johnson, the World War II swinger in me has become uncaged. Follow me?
I don't know. It seems rather old-fashioned to me.
Nice, huh?
Having a good time?
Yes, I am. Hey, I even had a speech prepared for you. You want to hear it?
You two? Listen to this. Richie tells me you're responsible for the decorations. I think they're among the most original, inventive,
Go on. Go on.
2, 3, 4.
Joyce, you need any help?
I thought we agreed this was the one time you would attend only to Bobby instead of everybody else.
Well, I thought Joyce might need some help. And while David was dancing with somebody else,
Well, he's not dancing with her now.
Hey, what happened? Do you disappear like that often?
only when I get thirsty.
Shall we? You know, Nancy and I broke it off because we didn't get along. Understand? I yield, but ungraciously.
Having a good time? You really like him, huh?
I'm having a wonderful time.
Yeah, but I mean, you really like Dave.
I like a lot of people. I even like you.
It really worked out between you two. It figured
What figured?
that it would work. Great dance, huh?
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Bernie, I think you better tell me what's going on.
Well, it wasn't just me, you know. It was all of us. It was mostly Richie. Yeah, why don't you ask Rich?
Richie's playing. I'm asking you.
Hi.
Hi, Miss McIntyre.
You dance very well. Are you having a good time?
As a matter of fact, I am.
David? Will you get my wrap, please? I'd like to go home.
Why? What's the matter?
I don't feel very well. It's nothing to worry about.
Well, can I get you something?
No. I just think I'd like to go home.
I'm sorry, man. She got onto it. I don't know how.
You told her?
I didn't tell her. She just figured it out.
You know your trouble? You think the rest of the world is as stupid as you are.
She's just left.
Look, Bernie told me what happened. I'm sorry. What can I say?
You don't have to say anything.
Bobby, don't blame the kids on the committee.
I don't blame them. How could you do it to me? How could you do it to yourself?
All right, it was a bummer when it started out. But I want you to know it's not a bummer now. I was having a good time.
I'm so glad for you.
In fact, I've never had a better time with a girl. I mean, you're fun. And then you're nice. Come on back to the dance.
I can't go back there. Probably all those kids know about it.
Then let's have a pizza together.
Pizza?
A hot dog, anything, just don't go home.
They took up a collection?
Yeah, you should have seen the single-breasted job with the cummerbund I tried on. I look like Bill Haley in the Comets. Look, you don't have to go with me now. But expect to hear from me tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. So, do you want to have a pizza with me now or get bugged by a lot of phone calls?
As long as I don't have to have an anchovy.
I have never encountered a compulsory anchovy.
Not yet, maybe. But I hear they're forming a union.
Betty's the most talented girl in her design class. I mean, she could start as a buyer's assistant today. She's got the head for it, but she wants to learn the retailing business from the bottom. Oh, certainly. I understand. Oh, she'd be delighted. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. I think I got Betty Emery a job. Now, all I have to do is nail down that bookstore job for Lois Pretiman. Then all I have left is Anne Klein and Rhonda Peters.
Wait a minute.
Oh, Pete, what can I do about Rhonda? She's so withdrawn, but she's really bright. I gotta figure something out.
Well, even though it's a late Friday afternoon, looks like you're going to be here the rest of the evening. So I better go. Guess I'll have to drive up to the mountains all by my little old self.
You know, I'm ready. I mean, can't you tell I was just sitting here waiting for somebody to come and take me away from all of this? I mean, we don't want people to start saying, what would we do without Liz?
No, we wouldn't.
Come to think of it, what would you do without Liz?